Hey guys, it's Sunny Daze here, and today I'm going to be giving you a little tutorial slash how-to video on how to use the Future Hoop Pro with remote. It's a two-part video, so in the first part I'm going to be going over how to use the actual hoop and kind of what the buttons do, and then in the second part I'm going to be going over some just tips and tricks that I've learned using the hoop with the 3 years that I've had it. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so first I'm going to kind of go over mainly these most right hand rows over here, the two most right hand rows, and we're going to go kind of over the modes that the hoop has on it. So starting with the two most popular modes, you've got the motif and the spiral. The motif is basically all the different like patterns on the hoop, so anything with like hearts, skulls, checkered things, zigzags, those would be considered a motif. And then you've got your spirals. Spirals are basically lights chasing each other around the hoop, like this. And you can use the motif or the spiral over here in the very most right hand column. If you click on either of them, it'll basically shuffle through either the motif setting in all different kinds of colors, or the spiral setting. It'll go through different spirals and different styles of spirals in different colors. So those are the two most popular, but then you've also got some really other great ones over here in the next row. You've got solid. That basically just goes through different colors in a solid mode. The galaxy, which is what the Future Hoop is really kind of known for, basically a slow-moving rainbow with white points around it. You've got the ISO mode, which is lights chasing each other, but it changes colors, and it's also got a solid color background. You can also do the pop mode, which is basically three different colors kind of popping. And then you've also got the blizzard mode, which is basically just a chaser mode, but it's all white lights. Really great for like performances and setting a mood. So all of these modes that I just went through, except the solid and the galaxy mode, can be changed colors. The way that you change the colors is you set it to the mode that you want to go on, and then at the bottom here you just start hitting the colors that you want. Now the way that the colors work is if you are on like a motif or a spiral, you can either have 3 or 4 colors selected. The first color that you pick is going to be the color that shows up when you have a solid motif or background. So if there's only one color in a pattern, the first color that you hit is going to be the color that shows up. The second color will be the second most color showed up, then the third, and then the fourth. So going ahead and starting with like the blizzard mode, a lot of people don't know this, but you can change the color on it. So you can go to like yellow with white, maybe you want to do red with the blizzard. So it's a really great way to change the feel and look, especially if you're doing like a performance or something. So you can also do like a rainbow spiral here. That's another cool one. So now on to some of the other buttons over here, just to kind of go through the rest of them in this left right hand most column. At the top right hand corner you've got stop back, basically that just goes back a pattern. So if you are on motif and you go here, I can click stop back and go to the one before it. Tap tempo, pretty self-explanatory. You just hit it along with the beat of the music and it'll change the pattern or the spiral that you're on to the beat of the music. And then you've also got random colors up here that just sets whatever you're on to, random colors. And then you've got your saved and color lock down here. Saved will just go through your saved patterns that you've got down here, and your color lock will basically set some colors that you've got. So like if I really like this color and I want to color lock it, I can click that and it's basically going to go through the motif setting in those colors, and it's just going to keep going through all the different motifs. So now that you've kind of got an idea of what the hoop is capable of, now we're going to go in a little bit more into depth on actually customizing the hoop with motifs and spirals. Okay, so this is really where you can make this hoop just do so much more, I think, than what most people know it's capable of. Let's start with the motif column over here. So now we're dealing with the two most left-hand columns. The motif column, you can hit random motif here. That's going to shuffle through all your motifs, or you can turn motif off and on here. So that is for if you're using a motif and a spiral at the same time. I'll go over that a little bit more in a moment. So this just edits the what your motif does. So you see where it says size and invert. If you've got the skulls, for instance, you can change the size of the skulls by clicking size and have more or less skulls on your hoop, or you can click invert and actually invert the skull so you actually see the opposite. You're not seeing the outline of the skull but the inverted part. And then the next button is really great because it brings you to the next motif. So you can just keep switching motifs. Whee! So until you find one that you like and do whatever you want, change the colors of it. Whew. There we go. Lots of purple. All right, so last really thing but not least is the quick select button. The quick select button is really cool because it's basically Mood Hoop's way of giving you quick access to some of their better motifs, in my opinion. So if you click quick select, then you can click a color down here and it'll go to one of their patterns that they've kind of got saved on here. Quick select 3 is a different one, and so you can quick select if you've already got a color palette saved that you've done. If you click quick select, it'll save that color palette. If you don't, and you were just like on a random motif and you don't have any particular set of colors that you're going through, and then you click quick select, it actually already has like a preset color for any quick select thing. So definitely get those looked out, checked out, see what each of those quick select motifs are, because they are, once again, great for performances if you don't want to overwhelm an audience. All right, so now we're going to go over the spirals. Spirals, once again, this is a spiral. You just, have lights chasing each other on the hoop. And I really like playing with the spirals more than the motif. There's a lot of things that you can do with them. So in this column, basically all this stuff edits each spiral. So I can change the count of the spirals. I can make it only 1. I can make that one, which is also a really cool setting to play with in the dark, by the way. It's really trippy. But you can change the width of it. Make it bigger. You can change the color, of course, and you can have it maybe like a Rasta color, and then you can maybe change the count, the speed, and then you can change what's called the style of it. So what the style is this is just kind of going slowly in a circle. Now I've kind of got this like little flower looking style thing. It's really cool. It's one of my personal favorites. It's really neat in the dark, very trippy. And then you can do all kinds of different little styles here. So what is really neat about this all is once you've got a set of these that you like, so maybe I want to do just like all white spirals, then what you can do is, this is when these 2 buttons come in handy. You can turn motif on or off. So let's add a motif to these white spirals. Yay! All right, so you can clearly see these white spirals are still going around. I can change the color of the motif now that I have changed it to the motif. And, you can do that to any pattern. You can change any of that. You can change the count, just 1 now. Maybe I want to go and turn my spiral off. Maybe I don't want the motif, then you can turn the spiral off and on, or you can turn the spiral back on and then turn the motif off, so now you just have the spiral again. So really what this does is you can just add it, you can do so many cool things like with that when you really get the hang of the spiral and the style and the motifs. Once you know kind of what you're doing and you play with that and you know which motifs look good with what, I mean, there is like endless possibilities of what you can do. So that is pretty much it as far as kind of what those buttons do. I may not have gone over every button, but they're all pretty much self-explanatory if I didn't explain it. So the last thing I'll go over basically is how to save patterns if you don't already know. Basically, if you have a pattern that you like, so say I really like this pattern, you can click the save button. your hoop is going to light yellow and it's going to say, hey, I'm ready for you to save me. So now I'm going to save it to number 11. All right, when it does that flashing pink, it means it's saved. So now I could click load and I can load any one of my favorites. So I can load 1, now I can load 11, and now I'm back on my pattern again. Now if you click load and then you click 11, it'll come to this pattern. But what if I go back and click 1 because I want it to be red? Oh no, it's actually going to go back to my saved pattern. What you have to do is you have to click load, go to 1, and then you're gonna click fine tune. That's gonna let you fine tune whatever you're on. So now if I click 1, it's not going to take me to that saved pattern. It's going to let me fine tune this pattern to the color that I want. So that's pretty much how you use this hoop. It's real awesome. So now I'll go ahead and go to part 2 of the video and give you guys some tips and tricks that I've learned along the way. Hey guys, welcome to part 2 of how to use the Future Hoop remote. I am going to be showing you some tips and tricks, just things that I've learned over the years that have made it easier to use this hoop. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing that I kind of want to go over is just some really random things that I did not know about until about a year or 2 down the line of owning the hoop. You can change the blizzard to any color, so you don't have to keep it all white. You can maybe like click rainbow once and it'll make one of the spirals rainbow. I know that you can make this pattern on styling your spirals, but it is really cool that you can change that pattern just on a dime. It's definitely a cool effect. So it's really easy to change the mood of a room. All right, so the next thing that I'll go over is when I first had it, I would get a little confused because I would try to click next on a motif or try to change the color on a motif and it maybe wouldn't work. Something that's really helped me understand is if you have a motif and a spiral on at the same time and you try to click next on a motif, it doesn't seem like it's going to another motif because the spiral is on. So you actually have to turn the spiral off and then click next to keep going to the motifs. So it'll actually make a lot more sense. So if something doesn't seem like it's working, try to turn the spiral or motif off and on, and then see if you can click next on your motif setting and see if that doesn't work. The next thing is how to like change colors by using the spiral and the motif. So what I mean by that is, let's say that you're starting out with a spiral. You've got this spiral going on. So now you want to add, you want to change the color of the spiral and you want to add a motif. Well, you're going to have to change the color of the spiral here. So let's change it to all white. Oh, here, load 6. There we go. So fine tune. Now we'll change it to all white and then we'll add the motif to it. So we'll click motif off and on. And then now when I click on a color down here, it's going to edit the color of the motif. It's not going to edit the color of the spiral. So the spiral is still plain white, then the motif is going in the background. You can still edit the count of the spirals. You can still edit the width and the speed, but you cannot edit the color unless you turn the motif off and on. Now, if you start with the motif, it's the same thing in reverse. So you edit the motif first and then you turn the spiral on and then you can edit the color of the spiral. All right, now as far as saving patterns, the best way that I have learned to save patterns on this hoop is to not only use 1 through 14 for your favorite patterns, but also use 1 through 14, set them as your favorite patterns, and then have each pattern be one of your favorite color palettes. So for instance, my number 1 favorite color palette is rainbow and white, and so my number 1 favorite pattern is rainbow and white. So you can see here, this is my favorite pattern to use. And I can click color lock while I'm on this pattern in my saved things, and then it starts going through the motifs in that color palette. If I load number 2, oh, that's here. Here we go. If I load 3, it's one of my favorite patterns, the dots, the galaxy looking thing, I can color lock it. And now I have this color locked. awesome. So definitely a great way just to keep, you know, your color palettes and your favorite patterns at the tip of your finger. It just makes this hoop so easy to use once you get the hang of using this remote. All right, so the last thing, a few things I'll go over is what I've learned about patterns and how to really make them stand out. White is your best friend with the Future Hoop because white makes colors stand out. So if I have a random motif going, let's see, next, I'll have white and then maybe orange. But that white really makes that red stand out. I can add green to it too, but the white really helps everything stand out. So whenever I'm doing that, if I add white at the end, it definitely helps. And what I mean by adding white at the end is whenever you set your colors up. You can add, I believe, 4 colors. So the first color that you pick, that's going to be your primary color. So if you have a motif that is only just like a solid thing, that's the color that's going to show up. If it's only like one color, the first color you pick will be the color it'll be. And then the next color you pick will be the second most used color, then third, and then fourth. So on the complicated colors, the ones with like 3 or 4 colors, adding white to the end of that can just really have a lot of effect on it. And then you can also add black in as well, so less LED. It's also a really great effect because, you know, when you can't see things, it almost leaves more of a tracer than when you see a bunch of white, and it really helps patterns stand out. So here, I'll load. Ooh, okay, so now I've got my favorite pattern back. If I added black into this, it's probably just, yeah, gonna make it a little bit easier to see until, yeah. You can do that though and play around with that black color. On some patterns it works better than others. So, boy, I'm trying to think of anything else that really pops out that I've seen. If you guys haven't played with just one chaser, that is definitely really fun. I definitely recommend playing in the dark with just one of these guys. In the pitch black dark, it just seems like there's like a little Tinkerbell or something playing with you. It's a really cool, neat little thing to play with because you can change the speed of it, and that's what makes it really neat, in my opinion. And yeah, that's about everything I can think of right now. If you guys have any questions or anything that maybe I didn't explain the best, just let me know, and I will definitely try my best to help you guys because I've been using this hoop for a long time. So yeah, thanks for watching and happy hooping.